Okay, well, I just want to welcome everyone to another episode of RG22 Outdoor Adventures. My name is Randy, and if you're brand new watching this, welcome to the channel. So, in past videos, I have made many different lures. Primarily, all of them are for muskie, and a lot of them have worked and some haven't. But one particular one that worked really good when my friend and I were on Lake St. Clair that I call the St. Clair Killer now. I made a Tennessee shad version of it, which you guys saw a video of. That went out to a charter captain in Michigan, and he ended up catching a muskie on that. And then I made a couple variations of that lure, all using two hooks, some with a nice square bill, others with a nice round bill. And they seem to work. They swim great, and I really enjoyed making them. So I'm going to make another one. So I've got the 7.5 inch piece of cedar wood that I just cut, and let's get started. So here we go. Okay, so I got everything all set up, ready to go. Got the wood put on my jig at about a 40 to 40, I think it's around a 45-degree angle, and got the fence and everything adjusted. Got the blade height adjusted, and now it's time to cut. So now we're going to cut our diving lip, and we'll see where we need to go. Okay, here we go. And I think it came out pretty good. Okay, so I made this jig that I'm going to use to cut this lure in half, but momentarily I'm going to mark my center line too, so that way at least I have this as my guide for the fences, and then I have my guide up here too. And we have two equally cut in half pieces. Okay. So I've got the lure all drawn out here. So now it's time to cut. And after we're done cutting, well, you know the rest of it. We're going to sand it and everything else like that. So, all right, bandsaw, cutting, let's do it. All right, so there we go. Now it's time to... Okay, so now it's going to get kind of noisy. So now I'm using the belt actually. Okay, there we go. It's all sanded, nice and smooth. Okay, so now it's time to start laying the entire lure out now. Okay, so now, like I said, we're going to mark our center. Our center is kind of marked right here, but we're going to do it anyways. This marks the center of the lure, so this will guide a lot of our sanding. Okay, so that's our center marked. Next, I want to mark where the eyes are going to go. I have a template here. So we're going to use 3/8 inch eyes on this, so we're going to go with 1/2 inch hole. Actually, no, we're doing 1/2 inch eyes, so we're going to go with a 5/8 inch hole. And if you notice this little line right here, we're going to line that up with the corner of that lip slot. And there's our eye. And essentially, it should be the same on the other side too. So we're going to get that drawn out. Okay, just like that. Now let's go to this side. Go there. There. So they're essentially the same on both sides. Okay, all right. Next is I want to figure out my center of gravity. So what I like to do is I will just do this until it comes down even. Okay, now I'm trying to do these, instead of putting the weights where I have over here, I'm going to try putting the weights a little bit more forward. So I have another example that I did on this, and we're going to measure that off real quick here. Okay? Okay, so we're going to put the weight forwards because I want the lure to kind of sit like this. Okay, so I've got the weight a little bit forwards. I mean, we can probably move it back here a little bit more. And we'll do that. We'll put it right there. We're going to put the hook about here, and then we're going to have another hook here. And then I want my line tie to go right about there. And it'll be pointing downwards like this. Okay, so we have our line tie, our hook hanger, our weight, our hook hanger. This is just where the center of gravity is for right now. So we're going to do nothing with that. Just a reference point. Our center line's marked. And then what I want to do is we are going to draw our chamfer lines. Actually, no. So another thing I'm starting to do on these is I'm starting to curve these heads in like this. And then the tail section also. So we're going to get started on that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to take this straight edge. I'm going to mark roughly about halfway. Okay, and we're going to take that straight edge and we are just going to bend it a little bit. And we're going to take our pen and we're going to make a line. We're going to do the same thing. Okay, we're going to make a line. There. Okay, so we made our line. We're going to do the same thing to over here, to the front. There. So now we have our tapers. And what I'm going to do next is we're going to sand these off on the front, and then we're going to sand them off back here. When that's done, then we're going to draw our chamfer lines, and then we'll start carving. Okay. So now it's about time to actually start drilling the weight. So we're going to drill our lead hole, and I'm using a 1/2-inch Forstner bit right now, and that's what we're going to use, but I'm only going to go down probably about that yay deep, maybe a little bit deeper. Okay. We don't need I probably don't need a whole lot of weight, but I want to kind of keep this weight as low as possible. Okay. So there's our lead hole. Okay, so now we're going to get all of our chamfer lines drawn. Actually, we're going to get this sanded real quick, okay? So here we are at the belt sander, and now it's time to take and we're going to sand this all the way down to here on all 4 sides, and then we'll get our chamfer lines drawn. It's going to be a bit noisy. Okay, so there we are. Now it's time to draw our chamfer lines. We'll get it carved, and once we're done carving, we'll split this apart, and then we'll carve our through-wire channel. Well, okay, so I've got the chamfer lines all drawn out now, and now it's time to start carving. So we're going to carve from this line here to here, all the way down on both sides. Okay, there we go. Other side. All right, so now that you guys see how it's done, okay, there we go. Okay, now we're going to get the underneath, but first we're going to sharpen the knife. Well, let's just do this. So there, the carving's done. It's time to do some sanding, and we're going to try to sand along this chamfer line here, and then the center of the lure here on both sides. continue on. Okay, so let's do it here. So the rest is now going to be a lot of hand sanding. So let me know. When we walk out camera, we'll see when I'm ready to get these separated. So let's see what we did here. So here's what we did so far. And the rest is now going to be a lot of hand sanding. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do all of that off camera, and then we'll see you when I'm ready to get these two halves separated. Okay, well, I did a lot of hand sanding off camera. I think I did a pretty good job. It looks pretty good. Got a lot of the imperfections out of it. Now I'm going to work on my diving lip, and then we're going to get this separated, and we're going to get our 3-channel all routed out and our wire bent. Okay, so on my other lures that I've made, I made a diving lip template, and that's just going to go right in here like this. And there we go. And there's what it's going to look like with our 1/8" Lux sand. So let's get that all drawn out and traced, and then we'll get it cut, sanded nice and smooth, polished, and yeah, then we'll get this separated and get it all routed out. Okay, so now it's time to get that cut out. All right, okay, there we go. Now it's time to get it all sanded all the way to the line, polished out, and we should be good to go. All right, well, I've got the diving lip all finished up, cut, sanded, polished. Got where I'm going to put the epoxy all scuffed up, and let's see how this is going to fit. And there we go. This is going to be a really nice lure, I think. So now I'm going to separate the lure half, and then we're going to draw out where we're going to put the through wire, and then we'll get the channel all carved out. Okay. Okay, so let's get this taken apart. There we go. Okay, there we go. So next step is we're going to get our through wire channel drawn out and carved. Okay, so let's get this drawn out. So we want our tie-in point to go about there. And our through wire is going to come this way. Down. That. Come up. And where's our middle? So that's our through wire channel. That's how we're going to draw it out. Now we're going to get ready to carve. So that's our through wire channel. That's how we're going to draw it out. And now we're going to get ready to carve it. Okay, so here we go, and get this all drilled out. Okay, so here we go. And we got the through wire channel all routed out. Didn't have to do it here because unfortunately they really weren't all that equal. So decided to route everything on this one, and that should be okay. Next is, now we're going to start bending our through wire. So this will be a while, so I'll do it all off camera once it's all done. Let's try this again. Okay, there's that. Now there. Let's put this together. And now, what the heck just happened here? There we go. It's better. Okay, so here's what it all looks like with the wire put in. It's not glued in yet. And then there's the wire right there. So now I'll get it all set on this. And then we can get this epoxy together. We'll let it set for the day, and then I guess we'll call it a day for right now. So what I like to do is use some super glue and baking soda, and that will get this all glued in. So we'll put a little bit of baking soda. And now it's in there. And we'll put some right here. That will hold all this together. Okay, so got the through wire all glued in. Now it's time to spread a bunch of epoxy on here, fill all the channels up with epoxy, and we'll come back and then put the lure together. Then we can actually start putting some color and stuff on it. So here's the lure, and what I did was I did a lot of sanding to it, and then I put some epoxy on it, and then I sanded that epoxy down, and then put another clear coat over it, scuffed that up with some Scotch-Brite, and now I am ready to do some painting. So here we go. The first color I'm going to do is going to be a Wicked Pearl White. So let me show you guys that real quick here. So this is our Wicked Pearl White, and this is going to be the first color. And there we go. Okay, so the next color is going to be a Wicked Opaque Jet Black. And I'm just going to make a line that's going to go right down the middle on both sides. Okay, and there we are. Okay, so I've got this all good and wet, and we're going to dab this on my white, and then I'm going to take and just gently, never so lightly, kind of like splotch it kind of randomly a little bit here. There. Let me do the same on the other side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. There. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's get that dried, and then we're going to decide on another color. I think it's going to be silver. I think that's what we're going to do. The next color on that stripe is going to be a Wicked aluminum medium. Again, it's just going to be with the sponge and just right along that white. Okay, so here we go. And I'm going to go this way with it. Okay, so there's some aluminum. That looks pretty cool. No light. Okay, so there's some aluminum in there. It looks pretty cool in the light. I think what I'll do, I'll take a little bit of transparent yellow and put a little bit of transparent yellow over that. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll get this dried off. Okay, the next color in this is going to be Wicked Golden Yellow. Here we go. There. Okay, I like that. Okay, I like that. Okay. So there we are. We're going to get this all dried off. Okay, so the next color that we're going to do is we're going to do this Wicked, or actually this regular pearl copper. And that is just going to go right along the top here. And I'm going to try to get it to go right along here too, to kind of a little bit of overspray on both sides. Okay, so let's get started on that one. Okay, so finally we got that part done. Okay, so now we're going to do the scales going across the top, and going to use two different colors. One is going to be a burnt umber, and the other one again is going to be our copper. So the idea is to shoot the paint this way to get that burnt umber pool right here. So that's what we're going to be going for. Okay, so let's get started on that. And we're just going across the top, and maybe I'm going to see what I can do down the side. So here we go. So far it's looking pretty good. Next is going to be our pearl copper, but I'm going to kind of work on this a little bit more. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good. It's kind of doing what I want the scales to kind of take over this a little bit. Yeah, kind of like that. Okay, we're going to dry that off. And then I'm going to take the pearl copper and go this way with it. And we'll get all that paint to pool up over here. Okay, so there we go. Now let's see what this is going to look like with everything off. Okay, here we go. Let's unveil this. So, okay, so here we go. Not too far on the scales, but it's okay. Doesn't look half bad. Actually, pretty good. Okay. Kind of do what I want. I still have that streak there. Next, we're going to have scales coming over here. Some smaller, different style scales. Probably in yellow. Okay. That looks pretty good. Well, that actually looks pretty good. Okay. So let's get started on this. We're going to do the underneath here. We're going to use this stencil, and the first coat of paint I'm going to use is a bright yellow. Let's try that and we'll do the other side. Okay, our next color is going to be Wicked Golden Yellow. Doing the other side, same color. Okay, the next color in this mix is going to be, what is this? Burnt Umber. This is the same color that we used on the scales. Okay, and here's our big unveil. All right, well, we kind of got it fixed a little bit. Okay, I think that's looking okay. So now we're going to epoxy this so that way we don't mess this up again. But I'm going to try to do a little bit of repairs here. All right, well, here we go. We got the scales all finished up. We got all the detail work kind of finished up here. And now it's time to paint some gills, some gill detail. So the first color I'm going to use is going to be our Wicked Opaque Jet Black. There we go. There's our gill. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. There we go. Okay. This is going to be Wicked Opaque White. Oh, wow, look at that. Look at that fine line right there. That is what I've been looking for the entire time on all of my lures right there. I hope I can duplicate that on the other side. Oh, look at that. We duplicated it. Man, I'm not happy with that. All right. So the last step in this paint job is I want to take some fluorescent orange and paint a throat with fluorescent orange. Okay, the last color in this lure, fluorescent orange, and like I said, I'm going to put that right down here on the throat. Okay, let's dry that off. Now that's what I'm talking about right there. Just like that. All right, so did the best I could. There we go. Got the nice orange throat. I think that'll look really good under some epoxy. Next step, and the very last one, other than me signing it, is to put some eyes on it. So let's do that. Okay, so here's the yellow eyes I put on. I think the lure looks pretty darn good. I'm really excited because I got that tiny, tiny, tiny line, which is the best I've ever done on any of my lures. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to get it all signed, and then we'll get it all cleaned up and prepped for epoxy. And that will require me putting a couple coats of polyacrylic on with my airbrush. We're going to start doing some epoxy on here. So, and we're using a clear cast epoxy from Alumilite, and it's in part A and part B. So what we are going to do is we're going to do a 1-to-1 mixture, and like I've told you guys in a billion other videos I've done, and I do this by weight and not by volume. You can do it either way. So we're going to mix part A, and then we're going to do equal parts part A and B. And we're already at 7, we'll do 10 cc's, there, 10 grams, there we go. Okay, and then we're going to do another, and now we're going to do 10 of part B. So remember, the more you use sometimes, the greater room for error you have when you're mixing. And there, and we went a little bit over on the B. That's okay, because B is our hardener. So now we're gonna get it all mixed together. Okay, so let's get that mixed and we'll be right back and when we apply all the finish. Here's our first coat, and remember this is the lure that we're going to be doing some epoxy on, and then we have this one and this one. And since it's super cold in this garage, it's probably in the teens. I'm just going to right all right, let's get started. We're going to use this brush. I don't see the epoxy is really getting thick. It's already getting cold. All right, so we're going to come in here. Okay, so here we go. The first coat of epoxy. This is where all the lures come to life. I'm going to start here. There we go. Yeah, we'll do the other lures for you guys too. Okay. Excellent. All right. Okay, so I'm going to heat this up and we're going to put this on rotisserie. And as we heat it up, it'll allow the epoxy to kind of flow a little bit better. Some bonus lures. You guys are getting lucky. We're doing some bonus ones today. Yeah, this one I was pretty skeptical on when I first started it, when I first made it and painted it. But I'm kind of liking it now. Now that I'm seeing, how this is gonna turn out. Yeah, see how it's starting to get thick? This is really starting to get cool down, and it's gonna make applying this pretty tough. All right. Now here's that one, so we're gonna put this one on rotisserie now. Okay, we got everything all heated up and we're gonna do the last one right here. Yeah, it's nice and thin now, so here we go. Still kind of tough to apply. Okay, I think there we go. We're going to do one more coat. We put a little bit in here. Okay. All right. We're going to heat that up. We'll put that on the rotisserie before we paint it. So there we go. And here is the finished lure. Look at all the detail. All right, and I just want to thank everyone for watching this episode of RG22 Outdoor Adventures. Hopefully you all enjoyed watching me make this lure and learn something new. And until we see you guys again, so have a great day.